Take it away, John. All right. All right. Thank you, John. So I don't know what's going to happen when we go to our two classes. Like, we're going to, where does the bell reside? With you? It's in there? Is it in there? You'll ring it, you'll come in, ring it in, and then go home? Oh, you'll go have coffee. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, talk about a public servant, right? Wow. Yeah. So that's going to be happening in just a few weeks. Next week is the sign up, right? Is it next week? Week after. Week after. Oh, right, 21st. Sorry. Yes, because of the holiday, it starts on the 21st and then goes. Yeah, so starting in February, if you didn't know, starting in February, we're going to have 2 yoga classes on Fridays, back to back. So there'll be an 8:30 to 9:30, and then a 9:45 to 10:45. So I know several people have been really excited about the 8:30 start time because then they have other things they're doing at 10, and they can go do those things. So hopefully we'll be able to accommodate everybody with those 2 times. All right. So let's come right up to the front of the chair this morning and have your feet on the floor. Check and make sure your heels are down there and the balls of your feet, so the knuckles, the big toe knuckles and the little toe knuckles, make sure they're on the floor. And then let's just lift and lower the toes a few times. Just notice how your toes are feeling this morning. Are they chilly? Mine are definitely chilly. Yeah. Where's my towel? I know, I don't have a towel. And I didn't wear toe socks today, so I took my socks off. All right. So let's lift up all the toes and spread them out nice and wide. And then see if you can press them down one at a time. And just kind of press into the bottoms of your toes and the bottoms of your feet. So you kind of feel that engagement of your legs. Can you feel your leg muscles kind of come online? And then notice where you are on your chair. You're leaning forward, so we've been focusing on the toes, so chances are you're leaning forward a little bit. See if you can kind of sit back or sit upright a little bit. So your shoulders are over your hips. And then let's just kind of notice where the head is. So is your chin forward? So this is a position we're in a lot when we let the shoulders round forward a little bit in order to maintain our vision. We kind of do this with the head. So let's see if we can kind of bring the shoulders back a little bit and then the head over the shoulders. And then close your eyes and start to notice your breath. So just watch the way you're breathing this morning. Take some internal notes. Are you breathing quickly? Are you breathing slowly? Is your breath smooth and even, or is it a little ragged? Are you able to breathe in and out through your nose, or do you need to use your mouth at all? And then start to slowly deepen your breath. So let the inhalations lengthen. When you think you've inhaled enough, see if you can breathe in even more. So we get to kind of a set point with our breathing, and we breathe in and out sort of at the same volume, but we can change that volume if we just notice it and kind of pause around it and create a little more effort. So again, with each inhalation, see if you can get in just a little bit more breath. And then with the exhalation, see if you can let go of the breath a little bit more. So you can kind of pull your belly in toward your spine. That helps to press out the breath on the bottom of the exhalation. We've got longer, slower, deeper breaths, longer inhalations, longer exhalations. And with these long, slow breaths, now notice where you feel movement in your body. So as you breathe in, where do you feel your body moving? Do you feel your belly expanding? Do you feel your rib cage expanding? On the exhalation, same thing. Where do you feel movement? Do you feel it in your belly? Do you feel it in your rib cage? So every inhalation should feel like your body is like a balloon that's being inflated. And every exhalation should feel in your body like a balloon is being deflated. And for some people, it feels the opposite way. So a lot of folks breathe in that opposite way. So this is a practice in learning how to breathe like you're inflating a balloon on the inhalation and deflating a balloon on the exhalation. The next time that you breathe in, I'm going to ask you to hold your breath and then see if you can breathe in a little bit more before you breathe out. So you breathe in, you hold that, you breathe in a little bit more, and then you can breathe out. We'll repeat that a few times. So each time you inhale, you're going to breathe in, you're going to hold your breath, and then you're going to breathe in a little bit more before you breathe out. Let's do that 2 more times. And final time. And then just going back to that deep breath in, deep breath out. And we're going to focus now on the exhalation. So on your exhalations, again, it's like the balloon is being deflated. We're going to add a little bit more of an active role here. So exhale. And when you've exhaled completely, you're going to hold your breath out, and then I'm going to have you pull your belly in toward your spine and see if you can breathe out just a little bit more before breathing back in. So again, you exhale completely, and you hold your breath out for just a moment, and then pull your belly in a little bit more. See if that helps to press out a little bit more breath, and then you can breathe in after that. So we'll do that 3 more times, and take your time doing this. And 2 more times. And final time. And going back to that nice full deep breath in, nice full exhale. See if you can feel a little more movement in your body. So when we exaggerate the inhales and the exhales, the exercise that we just did, that we just completed, sometimes we feel a little more movement afterwards because we're actually changing the volume of breath. Let's take in another breath, let it out with a sigh. And you can let your eyes open. So let's take the arms out to the sides, sort of down toward the floor, like a Christmas tree almost, right? So your fingers are kind of reaching down, and you're lengthening your arms a little bit, and then you're lengthening up through your spine, right? So notice if you're sitting with your chin forward like this, see if you can pull it back a little bit. And I'm going to ask you to take some deep breaths here and notice what you feel. So you're not moving your arms up and down, but can you feel your arms moving up and down with the breath? Can you breathe in a way that you start to feel that? Again, you're not like flapping your arms, flapping your wings, but you're feeling movement. This is just another way to notice the breath, to kind of externalize it a little bit more. And aside from your arms moving, where in your body do you feel this? Do you feel it in your belly? Do you feel it in your waist? Do you feel it in your ribs? Do you feel it in your chest? So there's all those places. As I breathe in and out, this is where I'm feeling it more. This is where I'm not feeling it as much. And then let your arms relax, let them hang down by your sides. Continue to breathe. And again, see if you can feel movement in your arms. So it was really obvious when they were out here, but when they're down here by your sides, it might be a little less obvious. So as you inhale, can you feel movement in your arms? Maybe it's in the upper part of the arm near the shoulder. Maybe you feel it down by the elbow or by the wrist. Take in a breath, let it out with a sigh. Okay, and now we're going to take the arms up overhead if you can. So if you're able to reach your arms up overhead, I'm going to invite you to do this. And don't really stretch your arms really, really high, but just kind of give them a little bit of looseness here. So maybe there's a slight bend in the elbow. There's a softness in the shoulder. So if you're up here and your shoulders are way up by your ears, just kind of drop it down a little bit. And again, you're going to take some nice deep breaths. And can you feel your arms moving? And as you're noticing movement in your arms, where do you feel movement in your body? So did it shift a little higher? So if you were feeling it when the arms were down, if you were feeling it in your belly or the sides of your waist, now that the arms are up, can you feel it more in your rib cage? Maybe down at the bottom of the rib cage, at the top of the waist. And we won't keep the arms up here too much longer, but just a couple more breaths. And then relax your arms all the way down. Let them hang down by your sides. Again, just kind of go back inside and notice as you inhale and exhale, where do you feel movement? Can you feel your arms moving? Okay, take a breath in, let it out with a sigh. Let your hands rest on your thighs. Let's roll the shoulders forward, up, back, and down a few times. So we get this nice rotation in the shoulders, hear all that noise up in the tops of the shoulders or the neck. And then if you want, you can switch directions. Good. Okay, let's get that right shoulder going. So circle it up and around. And then get the elbow in there. So circling that up and around. And do the best you can. So if you're working with a limitation in your shoulder this morning, or if you're working with some discomfort in your neck, just kind of do the best you can here. The next time that your elbow is down toward the floor, we're going to reverse direction. We're going to go the other way. So up and around, nice, big, slow movements. That makes a difference. Good, and then we'll bring that hand to the lap. We'll go the other side. So left side now, just kind of circling up and around. Get the shoulder and the elbow going. Good. Next time your elbow is down toward the floor, we're going to switch direction here, go the other way. Good. All right, let's go back and put that hand down. We're going to take the whole right arm and sweep that up and around. Good, and nice and slow here, right? So the slower you go, the larger your circles can become. So as you bring your arm up overhead, imagine you could lift your right sitting bone right up off the chair, and as it goes behind, feel the stretch here in the front, in the chest. As it comes forward, feel the stretch in the back of the body. Keep going. Oops. Okay. Yeah. And then we're going to switch direction. Next time the arm comes down toward the floor, we'll switch it up, go the other way. Good. So nice big circles. I think I'm going the same direction, so I'm going to switch. All right, and then that hand comes back to the lap. Let's go the other side. So nice big slow circles. Start going forward or backward, whatever feels okay for you. Do the best you can on this side. Again, if you're working with a shoulder that doesn't allow for that huge circular motion, just go with what you got. That's all we can do, right? You got to go with what you got. And the next time your hand is down toward the floor, we're going to reverse the direction of that circle. Going up and around, breathing in, breathing out. So we're stretching the muscles, the tissue on the sides of the body up around the shoulder, and then bring that hand back down to the lap. Good. So we're going to do a little bit of twisting now. And this twisting, we're going to get to the whole torso. So it's like your whole rib cage. If you can take your hands and place your hands on your rib cage here, like on the sides. If that doesn't work, so sometimes you've got a little restriction in our ability to do that. You can take one hand over and just kind of place it on the side of the rib cage, and take the other hand, just so you know where the rib cage is, right? So you can feel your ribs. You got that? So we're going to be making a twisting movement from the rib cage, right? So I'm going to kind of hold my hands here so you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to twist the rib cage to the right, and then we're going to twist the rib cage to the left. If I were doing this with one hand, it would look like this. So I'm going to take, as I turn to the right, I'm going to bring my right hand over to the left, and I'm just going to gently pull the rib cage over to the right. Got that? And then going to the left, I'm going to take the left hand and just pull that right rib cage over. So you can do it either way. Again, you can do one-handed. So when you pull to the right, you're using your right hand and you're pulling the left side of your rib cage over a little bit. You could do it two-handed, where you're holding on here and you're twisting a little bit of the rib cage. Everybody kind of get that? So one way is not better than the other, by the way. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever works well for you. And I like to do it both ways, just to get that feeling. So you can feel your rib cage moving, right? You can feel that twisting. Yeah? Good. Okay, couple more of these. Just kind of twisting to the right and twisting to the left. Good. And then come back to center. So we're getting some movement in there, or we're getting some awareness of movement. So maybe you've already had the movement there, but now we're getting more awareness of the movement there. We move different parts of our bodies in ways that we don't even think about. So there's a couple of things I really like to do with folks. One is to bring movement into parts of the body that aren't moving, and then bringing awareness into parts of the body that we're not paying attention to. So our attention can be a great change agent, right? When our attention goes there, we can really use that to instigate some change. So let's bring the feet a little wider apart than the hips. And you're going to have your right hand resting on your right thigh. We're going to be leaning over to the right, but I want this hand here for support. So I don't want people kind of leaning without any support. So we're going to really use that hand, use the arm and shoulder for support. And we're going to lean over to the right. Press your left sitting bone into the chair, right? So in other words, it's not this. See, my bum just came up off the chair. I'm keeping that left sitting bone, that left bum, right on the chair, and I'm leaning over to the right. Got it? And I'm using my hand here to support me. And then I'm going to come up, and we're going to go over to the left. Okay? So that's the movement. Now for the awareness. When we go over to the right, what I want you to think about is what's happening in your rib cage. So when you move to the right, this part of the rib cage is moving down toward the hip, and this part of the rib cage on the left is lifting up. So instead of just leaning, I want you to think about initiating the movement with your rib cage. So right hand on the right thigh, And now lift your left rib cage up toward the ceiling and then go over to the right. You feel the difference there? Yeah, it's amazing, right? And then come all the way up. We're going to do the same thing on the left. So again, it's really about intention. You're doing the same movement. It's just a different intention. Left hand is on your left thigh. And now I'm going to ask you to lift your right rib cage up toward the ceiling and then lean over to the left. Good. And then come back. Let's do that just one more time on each side, nice and slow, just so we kind of get this, because it might be just a different way of viewing it. So right hand on the right thigh, lift the left rib cage and go over to the right. And then come back. Okay, so we just want to get back and settle. So if you're here and you're waiting, like your body is anticipating, relax, right? So come from that place of relaxation and now raise the right rib cage and go over to the left. And then come back. Okay. So your sitting bones stay on the chair. When you lean, so let's say I'm leaning to the left, there's going to be a little more weight in that left sitting bone, but what I don't want to do is have that right sitting bone come up. Yeah, good question. Okay. So did anybody breathe while they were doing that? It's hard to, right? Especially when you're thinking of something new. So we're going to add the breath, and again, thinking of how we're expanding into the rib cage, right? So we did this expansion into the rib cage where we went to one side, we went to the other side, or if you had both hands, right, you're kind of twisting from side to side. Now we're lengthening because your ribs are like that, right? And let's say your ribs are kind of that close together. When you lean to the side, so when I lean to the right, that's what's happening on the left side. Can you see that? And what's happening on the right side is they're just kind of hanging out where they are. And then I come back to neutral. When I go over to the left, that's what's happening to the right rib cage. And then down. So we're going to do this with the breath because the breath will actually help to expand the rib cage even more. So when we lean to one side, we're going to breathe in, and we're going to breathe into the side that we're expanding. And I'll explain all of this. We'll go over it a few times. And then we're going to come back on the exhalation, okay? So let's start first with both hands on the thighs, sitting bones on the chair. Take a breath and relax. You don't have to remember any steps. We're going to go through it all together. Okay, feet on the floor, toes spread wide and anchored down. So we're just kind of setting that foundation, right? So the foundation is the feet and the sitting bones. So we're going to be leaning to the right side, and we're going to do it in a very specific way. So I'm going to have you take a nice breath in and exhale. And with your next inhalation, you're going to lift through your left rib cage, come up and over to the right. That's a nice big inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to come back to that center position. We're going to pause here and take a breath in and out, right? With your next inhale, you're going to lift through the right rib cage and lean over to the left. Got it? And as you exhale, you come back to center. So I'll walk you through this a few more times. So we're taking a full cycle of breath in and out in the middle. That gives the body a chance to kind of reset, recalibrate. So with your next inhale, lift your left rib cage and lean to the right. And as you exhale, come back to center. Stay at center, breathe in and out. With your next inhale, you're going to lift through that right rib cage and lean to the left. As you exhale, you're going to come back to center. We're going to pause here a whole cycle in and out. And this will be the last time we do it this way. We're going to add on. So with your next inhale, lift through the left rib cage, lean to the right. Exhale as you come back. Full cycle, breathe in, breathe out. I know we want to go right to the other side, right? With your next inhale, raise the right rib cage and lean to the left. And then exhale as you come back to center. Good. So let's just take a couple of breaths, relax the body. So were you able to connect that feeling of the rib cage expanding physically when you leaned and the breath giving it a little more space in there? Some people able to feel that? Not everybody will, so I'll just say that. So for some folks, this is, this is a little confusing. Maybe you haven't had as much experience feeling breath in the side of the body. This can be a tough place to feel breathing. So we're going to work on that a little bit. Okay, so we're going to add one more thing. If you have the movement available to you in your shoulder, we're going to add an arm to this. So when we lean, or when we lift up and over, so when I'm leaning to the right, I'm going to add my arm to this as well. So again, if that works for you. If it doesn't, I'll give you a couple of modifications. You can simply take your hand and bring it to that left rib cage and help it lift up, or you can bring your hand to your shoulder and hold it there. You could bring your elbow up. So there's all kinds of ways. We're just using the mechanical lever of the arm to create even more of a sensation, more of a stretch on the side of the body. Okay? It's a lot of things. You don't have to remember any of it. You just have to do it, right? Okay, so start with the feet. Lift up the toes, spread them out a little bit. Place them all down. Good. Sitting bones, you want to make sure your sitting bones stay on the chair. And again, when we lean to one side, there's going to be more weight in that sitting bone, but you just don't want that other one to drift up. You want to try and keep that anchored down. Okay, so we're going to be moving to the right first, but let's do a cycle of breath together. So we're just breathing in and breathing out. And on your next inhale, you're going to lift through your left rib cage. You're going to take your left arm up overhead and lean to the right. And then as you exhale, you're going to come all the way back and bring that hand back down. Take a cycle in and out. And on your next inhale, you're going to lift through the right rib cage, take the right arm up and lean to the left. And as you exhale, you're going to come all the way back up. Got it? So this is the whole movement. We're not adding anything more on to this. So you've done your cycle. Next inhale, you're lifting up through that left rib cage, coming over to the right. As you exhale, you're coming back. Now I'm going to start to do a few modifications. So if you're looking for a modification, with your next inhalation, you're going to raise that right rib cage and you're going to lean all the way to the left. So this is my modification if I have a sore shoulder. And then I'm going to come all the way back. Cycle in and out. If I want a little assist in that rib area, if I'm having trouble there, inhale, lift through the left rib cage. I'm going to just assist my body and pull up. So it's like I'm pulling all the tissue up here, and then exhale as I come back. Cycle breath in and out. Next inhalation, we're going to lift up through that right rib cage, come all the way over to the left. And as you exhale, come all the way back. Do we have one more on each side? I think we got it right. Okay, next inhalation, we're going to lift through that left rib cage, come up and over, nice. And then exhale, come back. Do a cycle of breath in and out here. Next inhale, raise that right rib cage, arm, lift up and over. And then exhale back. Beautiful. So close your eyes for a moment. Go back to your breath. Feel the air moving in and out. And I want you to notice again. So you're doing this sort of internal investigation as you're inhaling and exhaling. Are you a little bit more aware of movement in your rib cage? And it may take a few breaths. It may take deepening your breath, right? So making the inhale and exhale a little bit longer in order to feel. Can you feel more expansion when you breathe in? Can you feel more deflation of that balloon when you breathe out? Let's take another breath. Let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. All right, how are we doing? Do you feel a little more spacious in your breathing? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, so we're going to do one more little thing here for breath. And this is an awareness as well. So again, just thinking about your rib cage, right? So we were going from side to side. So like I said, when we were sitting kind of at rest, these are the ribs. When I lean to the right, that's what happens to my left rib cage, because I'm leaning to the right. And then when I lean to the left, that's what happens to my right rib cage. So now what we're going to do is a little twisting action, right? So that has a function as well. When we twist, so the rib cage is here, right? Here's the rib cage. When we twist, we actually have this kind of movement. So if you were to, how do I describe this? So if you were to cut me in half right here, right? Saw the lady in half, and you're looking down at my rib cage. So there's my ribs. When I'm twisting, I'm actually compressing a little bit here on the side when I come over, right? That's a good thing to do as well. So we're going to do that. So let's start first. If you can bring your hands to your sides, that's good. If you can bring one hand, if that's easier for you, bring it right there. And it's right below your brow line. You got that? Okay. Sorry about that. It's the best way to describe it, guys. So right there, as I twist to the right, I'm going to just take my hand. So if I'm twisting to the right with one hand, I've got my left hand on my right rib cage, and I'm just pushing it along a little bit, right? I'm pushing it along a little bit. And then come back to center. So if I go to the left, I'm going to take my right hand, and I'm just going to push my left rib cage along a little bit. Got it? If you're doing two-handed, if you're able to do two-handed, that's fine too. You can just take your rib cage and you're just pushing to the right a little bit, and then you're pushing to the left a little bit. This can be tough on the shoulders, by the way. So let me just say that. Can you see? So with my arms down here, see my shoulders, right? As soon as I put my hands here, my shoulders hike up a little bit. So if I've got a little crankiness in the neck and shoulders, I might opt to go with the single-handed version. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to twist to one side, and we're going to hold there for a couple of breaths just to see what it feels like. So before we even start, what I want you to do is take a couple of breaths and notice what you feel in your rib cage just sort of sitting naturally. Now you can have your hands here, or one hand here. Can you feel movement in and out? If you have a hand there, you'll definitely feel a little bit more movement. Right? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to really gently twist to the right and twist as far as is comfortable for you. I'm going to turn sideways so I can keep an eye on you guys. So I'm twisting to the right, and you're going to hold in this twisted position and now breathe. So you should feel a difference with your left hand or your right hand on that right rib cage. You shouldn't feel as much movement in the rib cage as you did when you were seated face forward. So now come back to facing forward. Take some breaths. I want you to feel your rib cage, right? So you should feel more movement now. And then let's switch hands. So if you're doing it one-handed, which I think is a good way to go, take that right hand, bring it over, and bring it right around the rib cage, right? So you're not here just in the front. You're really trying to do this, and don't squeeze. So we're not trying to squeeze. We're just trying to feel. So I'm going to turn sideways again so that I can see you guys. So we're just going to twist now to the left, and we're going to breathe in and breathe out. So you might feel more movement in your belly. You might feel more movement in the right side. But you're likely going to feel a little less expanding and contracting on that left rib cage. And then come back to that center position. Let's breathe in and out here for a moment. And notice what that feels like. Good. And then release that. So we're doing a lot with breath this morning, and specifically around the ribs, because the rib cage is one of those areas. It's constantly moving. It's constantly expanding and contracting with every breath in and every breath out. And we don't pay attention to it because we don't pay attention to our breath usually, right? So you know, we're in yoga class, and I don't know, maybe you pay attention to, let's say, I'm going to be generous and say you pay attention to 100 breaths during the day, right? Would that be fair? Not even, right? But I'm going to be generous and say we do. So we'll say we pay attention to 100 breaths. That means you have 17,900 other breaths that you don't pay attention to, right? So the proportion there is really great. So we take about 18,000 breaths a day. That's a lot of movement in the ribs that we're not even aware of. So if we want to change something, if we're having some difficulty breathing, if we've got a little stitch on the side of the body, say when we're walking, if you have low back pain, anybody have low back pain? Breathing can make a huge difference in low back pain, right? So some of what we did here, leaning to one side and opening up through the side of the rib, can have huge impact on low back. So your rib cage doesn't work in isolation, just like your toes don't work in isolation from your feet, right? So they kind of all work together. All right. So we've had a little bit of breathing time here. So let's do this. Let's do a little bit more work for the spine. So if you bring your feet a little wider than your hips. And what we're going to do, again, we're really focusing on breath today and what this feels like. So with your hands here, I want you to feel your sitting bones. So are you on the front of your sitting bones? If you're on the front of your sitting bones, you'll feel more pressure, say, to the bottom of your thigh, the back of your thigh. You might feel more on the pubic bone, or the pubis rather. And then if you're backwards, if you're kind of tilted backwards, you'll feel like there's more weight on the back side of your body. So this would be kind of a backward tilt. Isn't this is just our posture all the time. I see so many, and I do this too, by the way, right? You forget what you're doing, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have all this space. So this is kind of a backward tilt, and then this would be kind of a frontward tilt. So we want to go right in the middle, kind of finding that sweet spot where the sitting bones are. Right, so you kind of got that. Okay, so keeping the sitting bones there, so it's even from right to left, and you're not really going forward, you're not really going back. What I'm going to ask you to do, can you find your sternum? So just kind of go up here, your sternum, your breastbone, right? So that's the hard bone right here. Can you go down, down, down until, and when you get down a little farther, it gets soft. You'll feel it, the bone ends, right? Okay, so right there, that little spot where it ends, another landmark, find your pubic bone. So your pubic bone, find your belly button, and then just travel down with your fingers until you feel something that's a little bit harder than your belly, right? Can you all feel that? Okay, so your pubic bone is right in the middle. Right in the middle. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try and bring the bottom of the sternum, the bottom of the breastbone, to the pubic bone. Sounds crazy, right? That's a sit-up, basically, right? Yeah. So that's all we're doing, is bringing this down. Now I'm not making the movement with my hips. So in other words, I'm not doing this, right? I am trying to just bring this part to this part. Can you see that difference? Did everybody get to see that difference? Yeah? Okay. That, again, really subtle kind of movement, right? But it has an impact on how we move. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Feet on the floor. Set your tripods down. Get your toes splayed out. Down on the floor. Good. So bottom of the sternum, top of the pubic bone. When you exhale, you're going to try and bring those 2 points together without rounding your back. And then as you inhale, go back to sort of that neutral position. Right? So let's try that again. Again, you're not rounding your back, you're not bringing your chin to your chest. It's just these 2 points that are trying to come together, just a little bit. So this is what, if you're curious, this is what it looks like. It's a very small movement. Can you all see that? I'm not bending forward. I am just trying to bring the top of the pubic bone and the bottom of that sternum together. If you're not getting it, it's fine, right? It's a very subtle movement. Yeah, Ellen? No, you're not really... You're lifting the pubic bone toward the sternum, but you're not tilting the whole pelvis. So your pelvis, Okay, I don't want to go into that today. But so there's a few ways you can move things. There's a lot to it. So there's a few ways you can move things. I can get my pubic bone closer to my sternum by tilting my whole pelvis, right? So by taking my whole pelvis and doing this, I can do that. I can get these 2 points farther away by tilting my whole pelvis. What I'm really trying to do is just take this part and bring it closer together. So it's a really small movement. If it's helpful, put one finger on the pubic bone and one finger down below and see if you can get them a little closer. Yes, we're using the abdominal muscles to move this and not the spine muscles. Yep. So let's try that a couple more times. It should be a feeling kind of deep inside your body, right? Okay. How about one more time? And again, if you're not getting this, we're going to work on this, so that's fine. And this is all about breath right now, so this isn't necessarily about working your core or your abdominal muscles. It's just about getting that sensation of breath. Okay. That was the hard part. So I gave you the hard part first. Now the easy part. So keeping your feet on the floor, keeping your sitting bones anchored. Same 2 points of reference, right? So the bottom of the sternum and the top of the pubis. When you inhale, I want you to think about bringing them farther away from each other. That should feel a little easier for most of us. And again, this is the movement. If you're watching me, this is the whole movement. It's pretty small. And it's not that you weren't doing this before, but you weren't aware of it before. Got that? Did everybody find that one a little bit easier to get? Okay. So let's see if we can combine them. And again, this is just an awareness of how we're breathing, right? So same thing as when I'm leaning to one side, feeling that expansion in the rib cage. When I'm sitting upright, how I expand and contract in my rib cage. When I'm twisted, where I feel movement in the body. So it's the same thing. So on the inhalations, well, first let's start with the feet, sorry. So pressing down, pressing into the sitting bones so they're even. You're not leaning forward, you're not slouching forward, you're sort of got the shoulders over the hips and the ears over the shoulders a little bit. So giving those 2 points of reference, so the pubic bone and the bottom of the sternum, when you inhale, bring them apart a little bit, and when you exhale, bring them together a little bit. Got it? So when you inhale, you're bringing them apart a little bit, and when you exhale, they're coming together a little bit. Now you keep going, and I'm going to start talking a little bit more. So when you're inhaling and you're bringing those 2 points farther away, you have to actually relax the abdominal muscles, right? So if you're feeling like tense doing this, see if you can relax your abdominal muscles. And if doing both of these is confusing, just focus on the lengthening, focus on the inhale. So I'll say that again. When you're inhaling, and you're bringing your pubic bone and your sternum away from each other, you have to actually relax the muscles in the belly. When you're exhaling and you're bringing the sternum and the pubic bone closer together, you contract the muscles of the belly. So if you actively contract the muscles of the belly, you might be able to feel this a little bit more. Right? So that's a more active exhalation. Most of us, by the way, do not do an active exhalation in that way. Most of us, when we exhale, we're not engaging the belly muscles in quite the same way. But this is a way to help out. We activate these belly muscles when we cough, right? So coughing is a breathing exercise. And so when we cough, we engage those. So again, when you're inhaling, can you feel the belly muscles relax as you bring those 2 points away from each other? And then when you exhale, can you feel your belly muscles contract when you bring those 2 points closer together? So inhaling, we're relaxing the belly and those 2 points are moving farther away. And as we exhale, we're contracting the belly muscles and those 2 points are coming closer together. Let's do that just 2 more times. This is a lot. So we're inhaling, we're bringing those 2 points away. And we're exhaling and we're bringing those 2 points together as we contract the belly muscles. And last time, breathing in, we're bringing those 2 points away. Breathing out, we're bringing those 2 points a little closer together. And then relax everything, close your eyes if they're not closed already, and just go back to your natural breath. And as you're watching your natural breath, just kind of notice what you can't not notice anymore. I know that doesn't make sense. That's a lot of negatives. So notice what you are aware of now that you weren't aware of before. And it's like, I can't not see this. How can I not see this now? Maybe you're feeling that expansion and contraction in the front of the body, the movement that we just did. Maybe you're feeling some expansion and contraction in the rib cage. That was the movement we did before, right? So on the right side of the rib cage, left side of the rib cage. Maybe you're feeling both. Maybe you're feeling neither. Can you feel movement in your belly and the sides of your waist? If you take your hands off your lap and bring your arms out into a little Christmas tree. As you breathe in and out, can you feel the movement in your arms as it's connected to the movement in your ribs? So when we first did this, I was just having you feel your arms moving, but now I want you to feel your arms as they're connected to your ribs. And the way the arms connect to the ribs is through the shoulders. So perhaps you're feeling your shoulders lifting and lowering. Perhaps you're feeling the front of your rib cage expand, contract. Let's take the arms up to just about shoulder height. Relax your shoulder tops though, so don't create a lot of tension in your neck. And again, breathing in and breathing out. Can you feel movement in your arms specifically as it's connected to your ribs? So the more your ribs move, the more your rib cage moves, the more your shoulders and arms are going to move, the more you're going to be aware of movement in that part of your body. And then if it's possible, if you need a rest, you can bring your arms down, but if you can, bring your arms up overhead. And again, nice deep breaths in and out. Can you feel your arms moving relative to your rib cage via the connector of your shoulders? Can you do just a couple more breaths like this? And then you can slowly float the arms down, let them hang down by your sides. And again, just kind of going back, we're still investigating the breath as you breathe in and out. What is the connection to your arms and your rib cage? Take one more breath, let it out with a sigh. Let your eyes open. All right, how are we all doing? Getting a little more expansive with the breath, right? That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Let's take that right arm, sweep it over to the left. We're going to stretch the back of the body a little bit here. So just pull that arm over, turn and look out over your right shoulder. Oh, feel that stretch. Breathe in, breathe out. And then you can release that. Let's take the left arm, bring it over to the right side, turn and look out over your left shoulder. Again, just kind of breathing in, breathing out. So stretching the back of the body a little bit. Release that, bring the arms back. We're going to take the right arm, sweep it behind your back. Take hold of your hand back there. Give it a little tug over to the left. Breathe in, breathe out. Let's see if we can drop the left ear to the left shoulder. Okay. tuck your chin toward your collarbones. Breathe in, breathe out. So this is a complex movement here with the head to the side and the chin tucked in toward the collarbone. So if your chin is way up here, I'm going to have you bring your chin right down toward your collarbones. And then come on back to center. Good. Release that arm. Take your left arm, sweep it around behind you, grab hold of that hand back there, pull it over to the side. So let's bring the chin down to the collarbones first. This might be easier for some people. Now with the chin toward the collarbones, now bring your right ear to your right shoulder. So if your chin lifts up, you're going to bring your chin down toward the collarbones. That's it. Yeah. Breathing in, breathing out. Next inhale, come all the way up. Release that arm. Take your hands together. Let's interlace the fingers. Let's round through the upper back. Breathe in, breathe out. So we're in the back of the body now. Your rib cage is 360 degrees, by the way. So it goes all the way around to your back. It's kind of covered in the back by your shoulder blades on the top part. And then inhale and bring your hands back to the center for a moment. Take a couple of breaths. And then we're going to press out and we're going to breathe in and out as we hold here for a couple of breaths. Just breathing in, breathing out. And then coming back to the chest. Good. And one more time. So whenever you're ready, we're just going to kind of press out. Breathe in, breathe out. And come back. Good. Release your hands down to your lap. Let's roll the shoulders a few times. All right. So we've done a whole class on just sort of breathing, breath work, and how that plays in the whole body. And I just can't finish a class without the feet, so you're going to have to look down at your feet because we need to do this. Okay, lift up all those beautiful toes. Spread them out nice and wide, and then like playing a piano, let's put them all down one at a time. Right? And then see if you can lift them one at a time. Yeah. Super easy. Lay them down one at a time. Play the piano with your toes. And then lift them all up one at a time. Right? How about two more times? So all the toes are lifted. We're going to put them down one at a time. Play the piano with your toes. Lift them all up one at a time. Place them all down one at a time. Lift them all up one at a time. Excellent. Okay, let's bring them up and down a few times. Take a breath, because I could just sense everybody holding their breath out there. And then we're going to lift all the toes, press just the big toes down, and lift and lower just those big toes. Just the bigs. So we're lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. It's like they're doing a little workout down there, right? They're like pumping iron down there. Okay, and lift everybody up, lower and lift all the littles, but keep the big ones up. So if you're using your hands, you're holding your big ones up. You're using the muscles of the little toes to bring them down, right? So you don't want to push your little toes down because that kind of isn't working on the muscles. Okay, and then place everybody down. And we're just going to lift and lower the bigs. Right? Lift and lower just the bigs. If you're having some difficulty there and you want to assist, you can hold all your littles down with your fingers. Okay, and then keep the bigs down, and we're going to lift and lower all the littles. Lift and lower all the littles. And again, if you're assisting, you're just going to keep your finger on your bigs, keep them pressing down so you can lift and lower all the littles. Okay, lift everybody up, spread them out nice and wide. Bigs go down, babies go down, middle stay up. No? Let's try that again. Take a breath. Relax your feet. This one takes a long time to get for some folks, right? All right. So we're going to lift all the toes. Bigs go down, babies go down, middles stay up. If you're assisting, you're holding your middles up. Yep. If you're assisting, you're holding your middles up. And relax. One more time, just to torture you. Yeah? Lift them all up. Bigs down, babies down, littles up. Middles up, sorry. Middles up. And relax. Whew. They're strong. Oh yes, those middle toes really want to go, right? Yeah, they really want to go. So when we're doing those exercises, I know it's for some folks, maybe it's getting a little bit better if you've been doing it for a while. For some folks who maybe this is new or you're having some issues getting it, it can really be kind of frustrating, but keep working on it because this toe independence is really important for the arches of your feet, right? So we have 3 different places that help to create that nice arch in the foot. So when we're pressing the big one down and keeping all the littles lifted, we're strengthening the muscle here on the inside of the arch. This is the one everybody knows, right? When somebody says the arch of your foot, that's where everybody points, is like right there. When we're pressing all the littles down and keeping the bigs lifted, we're working the outer arch. You actually have a lateral arch. And then the tough one, that big toe and baby toe, keeping all the middles lifted, that's your transverse arch. It goes across here. But it's those 3 different places that create the lift in the arch. So we need to work them all. Now, I will say this. Most people are going to find at least one of those easier than the others. And for some folks, there's a really big difference in their ability to do one or the other. And for most, it's going to be that middle that transverse arch is going to be the hardest one to get. But we want to create equal strength because that helps the arch to do what it needs to do, which is to compress when we take a step forward and then to help lift us up when we press off when we step forward. Okay? All right. Close your eyes. Go back to your breath. Feel the air moving in and out. Where do you feel movement in your body? Do you feel more awareness of your toes, of your feet? Can you feel your arms moving in response to your breath? And again, if you think about your arms connected to your ribs via the shoulder, right? So the shoulder is going to move because it's partly on the rib cage. Breathing in and breathing out. And it's important to spend time doing this investigation, this exploration into breath on a sort of regular basis, because without breath, there is nothing else. So having strong legs and strong arms is great, but without breath, that doesn't really matter. Your breath is just this phenomenal companion. It's working all the time. You're not even aware of it. Working all the time. Next time you take a breath in, hold it for a moment. Take another little breath in and hold it for another little moment. And then let it out with a sigh. You can let your eyes gently open. So thank you, everybody. Great to see everybody today. Good, keep breathing. I'm going to be doing more of that. That's the goal. Yes, breathing means vertical, right? We want to be vertical. And balance, yes, balance.